How real are the players can't solve any puzzles memes? I have not given many puzzles to my players throughout the years, but they usually solve the ones I do give them easily. Have you guys ever had a situation where the players couldn't solve a simple puzzle for hours? Hours? No. I've put puzzles in front of my players that have taken longer than I expected, but not that much longer. But this does open the floor for a discussion which I think needs to be had. There is a scene in the Fellowship of the Ring, which many of you are probably familiar with, wherein the Fellowship arrive at the doors of Durin, upon which is an elven inscription. And within this inscription is the secret to opening the door. This is an iconic part of the story, as well as a perfect example of what not to do in D&D. First, I think we need to make a little semantic delineation between puzzles and riddles. What I'm going to call a riddle is a problem that the solver needs to chew on for a while. It's not always a verbal problem, but if it is, there are probably going to be double meanings, wordplay, and maybe even a code. Puzzles, on the other hand, are interactive. They're usually going to involve moving things around or pushing buttons or something, and will probably be solvable through trial and error. In many of the posts where I see a DM moaning about their players being unable to solve a puzzle, they have given their players a riddle. A lot of times the best way to solve a riddle is to sit there and think quietly. And if you can imagine, a hard riddle can really bring a D&D session to a grinding halt. And that is evident if you remember what the Fellowship does after finding the doors of Durin. They sit there for an entire day trying to open them. In my opinion, what we should avoid is giving our players a riddle in a situation wherein they can only progress if they solve the riddle then and there. If we give it to them earlier, before the answer is relevant, we can give them a couple of weeks to chew on it between sessions. And as far as puzzles go, a great source of inspiration are the kinds you find in video games. If you've seen many of my videos, you know how rare it is for me to say this, but it's true. And I'm talking about games like Legend of Zelda or Uncharted, not like Blueprints. Puzzles which are fun and cool as opposed to hard. What I try to remember while designing a puzzle is to make sure it's fun to solve, not just fun after it's been solved.